it's common for the opening track of an album to kind of set the theme for the album. With that in mind, why did you choose a song about the end of the world to kick off this one?
That's a very good question. Um, I have an interesting relationship with apocalyptic times.
Mhm.
Uh, I just have always felt like I was meant to be here while things are interesting and juicy and weird and in flux. So
Mhm.
for me, it's there's a beauty to that song. Um, it's more about, yeah, things are wild and things are very temporary. So like love it while you've got it. Be in the moment that you can, if you can,
Mhm.
whenever you can, and like enjoy yourself. That's why Come Lay Down is about like, yeah, things are wild, but we also need to rest and can still enjoy each other, you know?
Wow. Okay. I mean, because yeah, it has this kind of sweet tone to it, and it's only really when you delve into the lyrics that you're like, oh wow, this is a little heavier than the melody would suggest.
Well, thank you for noticing.
um, well, I mean, just to build on that, so that I mean, that in itself is an interesting thing. You're drawn or always interested in dystopian times, but you found like this kind of comfort in it, which seems like this massive contradiction. Is that an apt way to describe it, or?
I would say definitely that's an apt way to describe it. And for me, that's like a very personal theme that runs through my life. Just growing up, experiencing some of the things that I did when I was younger and learning through them how to still just dive headfirst into life and enjoy as much as I can. Like that's just a very big theme. And that dichotomy to me, the sweetness thing, there is always the both sides to every coin. And so I love to play in those realms.
I think from a literal point of view too, like we have a safe spot, or as safe as you can have, I guess. And we moved around an awful lot over the years, and we ended up buying a home in Vermont 6 years ago. And
Mhm.
so the song actually was the riff of the song was just something playing around the living room after dinner, and so it's from the Nicole's outlook, but it's from a safe space that she's kind of telling her story and sharing her truth. So it's uh, pretty cool, and we're grateful for that. Just we moved around a whole bunch, so
Yeah,
uh,
well, I mean, because that is one thing I wanted to ask about was, because there's obviously the Nashville music scene, New York music scene, and all those cities that have their influence and stamp upon the music world. It's not
yeah,
often the state of Vermont comes up
we
when it comes to, music
yeah.
history. And so I'm curious, in that safe space, I was curious, like, okay, how have you been influenced by, living in Vermont, as musicians?
Yeah, I mean, we met in Boston and lived there for some years. We lived in New York for a lot of years. Nicole's from Brooklyn, and I'm from Jersey, down by Asbury Park region. Uh, and so I think we've been in Vermont 15 years now,
That's
Mhm.
crazy.
and it is kind of crazy, or maybe almost 15. And I feel like we've been influenced a lot by actually having a lot of space. That not just the space of having a home, but the things aren't so packed in here, and you can kind of get a chance to get a breath in.
Mm.
The pace of life is a little bit different, but it is a community that puts an awful lot of care and puts value on the arts, not just music, visual arts and dancing, and it's a very artistic community for a small place.
Mhm.
And I feel like the city is. Yeah, that's something that we experienced here, and I feel like the space has given us a little chance to unpack things. And we both love to drive or fly wherever to the gigs, so adding an hour to get to New York or somewhere else, it doesn't really make any difference. It's like to live in a pretty place is with a
Yeah.
nice community is worth it.
And it's a healthy place.
It is. Yeah.
More so than a lot of the rest of the country. I find the people are less under the spell of, digital devices and like addictive foods and
Hmm.
things. Like there's more of a like
No billboards.
healthy land, healthy people. Yeah. There's no billboards here. Even just that visual aspect, like just looking around, you can see the mountains from everywhere. It's like this beautiful landscape, and that just provides a certain perspective, I think, because we're just like always looking at something right in front of
Hmm.
our face. I
Right.
think it's literal, like that perspective thing, You're just staring at something here versus being expansive. Even just like going outside for a walk, it's like, oh yeah, I'm this little speck here. Look
Hmm.
at these mountains, these majestic ancient things or so. It's just it's a gorgeous place. It keeps you grounded.
Mhm.
And then, kind of extending off of that, you said that creating this album was a deeply healing process.
Yeah.
What did it heal within you?
Personally, I'll speak on this quickly because it's a really it's a profound thing every time we finish a record, which we've been fortunate enough to do a few times. It's sort of like the shedding a skin, like you're uncomfortable with not having said what you feel like needs to be said, or this is my experience. Um, Once you get to like stamp it and like get it out, sort of, it's a relief. Like for me, I just feel like, oh, I
Mm.
can relieve, like I can breathe. If I die now, at least I put myself out there, not like to be again morbid in a funny way.
Yeah.
I'm one
Yeah.
quarter Norwegian, so
Oh.
the Norwegian people we have the dark humor. That's where it comes through.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, not to keep talking about like, yeah, death.
We've been watching like a little bit of the Olympics just here and there, not a whole bunch, but
Yeah.
to when we get done, like we finished the record, we had a week and change, maybe it was 8 days in New York with Joel and the whole gang.
Uh,
And you had mentioned Nashville, our longtime keyboard wizard John Solo, who lived in the neighborhood in right on Dobbin Street in Greenpoint where we record. He lived a couple blocks from there. He
Mm.
was 30 plus years in New York and just moved to Nashville, or was going to move to Nashville
Yeah.
right after our session. So we actually were all able to kind of hunker down in the studio together and have one week plus together, and that was healing because the Olympic thing is, oh yeah, that's why I was trying to say, wow, the coffee is kind of working and kind of, but you're trying as hard as you can for 1 week. Like like I look at these athletes and they're training so hard, and it's
Mm.
not every day. Like for me, doing taxes or whatever the other things are that aren't artistic related, but there's so much focus in the studio for that week, and there's rewrites. Our producer works, it's basically 8 to 10 hours a day, and then we do rewrites in the evening and in the morning, and you
Yeah.
just can't put any more effort out for 7 or 8 days. And
yeah,
I'm with
that's true.
Nicole, I'm with John, and with Ezra and Joel and his team and their team at Studio G, and it's like,
We have
so
one week.
that's a healing thing because you're like, oh, I did the best I could. It's
Mhm.
not, so there's a satisfaction with that. And
It's true.
that's like that's kind of a healing thing for me because I feel like sometimes I'm what we talked about before, I'm just, worried about computer work or not able to execute everything 100% because we have so many different things going on at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plates in the air. So, but that
Right.
week is just you have one role, and you better do your work every day. You know what I mean? So
It's a
Yeah.
colossal expenditure, energy expenditure.
it is. Yeah, it's incredible.
So you're exhausted but fulfilled at the same time.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
Mm.
healed in a way, just because like we got to spend that time with John before he left, and Joel, and just everybody. I'm not 20. I'm not. I don't assume that any of these guys. Ezra's got kids. Everybody's got all these different responsibilities, but for us all to be able to get there for that week and
Mhm.
just do the thing that we all do together, without
Mhm.
any kind of ego or attachment. We're just bouncing ideas off of. It's probably like Saturday Night Live, where everybody's just pitching bits and trying to make the best thing possible. And that's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to be part of a team like that. That's healing for me because I'm not in my own mind all day with my own dumb shit. So, yeah, yeah.
And, from a creative perspective, one of the most interesting stories I read about this album was the creation of Day and Night, the title track, and the idea that it came from three disparate kind of songs that were, I don't know, only partly completed, and then they kind of all melded together, which doesn't happen that often, at least from what I've heard from talking to various musicians throughout the years. And I'm wondering if you can walk me through how one does that, how one takes, a bit from here and a bit from there, and but make it all work as a cohesive entity.
It's you, Dwight.
Yeah, and it's you too, because so the I like use my little recording app, the basic app on an iPhone, to record ideas
Hmm.
throughout the day, all day, every day, and that for these different phrases came over however long it was, a couple weeks or whatever it was, and I began to just feel that they belong together somehow. And you're right, it doesn't happen like that, and I don't really know why. I can't think that that's ever happened before, and I don't know why I felt they related to each other, but it was just became, I couldn't ignore it for some reason, and
Mm.
so
Hmm.
I had a bunch of mumbles around these phrases that seemed like, there was melodies and there was phrases, and they just, I couldn't get, in between all the other 15 or 20 or 50 ideas, whatever it was, these three just had a pull for each other. And so
Hmm.
I brought the mumbles to Nicole, and she said, "It sounds like you're saying day or night." And then the whole song, that was the glue that made them all start to make sense. And then the lyrics flowed from there. So it was an odd thing.
My participation in that song was very slight, but because for me, it was just about, it made me think of a specific person, a friend
Hmm.
who was going
Hmm.
through a challenging time.
Mm.
So the music part, Dwight, that was all Dwight entirely. And for me, the perspective of that, like thinking of someone, wanting to give them some energy, some good energy, they were going through a lot. That's 100% all I contribute to the song, was that little piece of that, and all of the rest of it was a Dwight was.
But that's super important because that's what we're talking about. Like, their times are a little bit challenging now, or especially challenging. So
Mm,
to be able to lean on each other, I
yeah.
mean, that really made the mumbles make sense. I didn't know what any of that meant. I just had these clear relation, or what I thought was a relationship between the three phrases and melodies that all
Hmm.
came at different times. So that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
How it worked out.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in doing research for this, so you know, Nicole obviously has a voice with a massive range and can have a lot of power. Like, I came across this clip of you singing Carole King's Natural Woman at a live performance,
Mm.
where it just really, you let it fly,
Yeah.
and which was really fun. But there's a lot of on that album, there's a lot where it's your voice is very kind of soft, very kind of intimate. And I'm wondering what which is the more natural for you to
Interesting
sing,
question.
just full out, or a little bit more reserved?
That's a very good question. I would say
Super
they are
interesting.
both equally as natural for me. Um, I just, I'm an emotionally charged person and I feel very deeply. And a lot of what I feel is like very, very tender and sweet, like your mother singing to you as a child to help you to calm down.
Mm.
That part of me is very, very present. And then
Mm,
also I'm fiery, and my sort of like rageful feelings come through, or like intense feelings come through, and they cross with like loving feelings. And I feel like a ferociousness around love that is part of love. Like I think the Hallmark love story really takes the ferociousness out of love, and it
Mm.
makes love this like impotent soft thing, which it is not. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah.
this force. It's so fucking powerful, so strong. I'm sorry for cursing. I don't know. Can I curse here?
No,
Something.
you trust me.
Okay.
You're not
I
gonna beat
just
the record of past guests on that one. So don't worry about it.
okay. I'm like, oh no, wait.
All right.
What kind of interview is this? So but you know what I mean. So for me, that's one of my like driving forces in life, is a reminder that love is ferocious and that we need to have that part of it be woven into the way we move through life on this
Hmm.
planet, especially during wild times like this. If we think, oh, to each his own, and kind of close the thing and go to bed or whatever, just scroll instead, you're
Yeah.
forgetting that you have to really bring a force of love in order to create a loving environment. You
Hmm.
know, it takes a
Right.
lot of work. It's actually like a very, uh, it's not passive thing.
You put a
Hmm.
lot of intention into how you approach songs with what kind of how your voice is or what the message of the song requires.
Totally.
Not every song requires you to do like a yelling love thing. But it's interesting. There's like fans that want just a whole night of her like just on
Over the
10.
top.
And
That's a
your
thing.
question is interesting because it's like there are a whole bunch different sides to that, the way that you approach your vocals and what's honest about your voice. It's not like the mellow one is not honest. It's just as honest as the loud one. Sometimes you shout, sometimes you whisper.
I'm not able to be a performative singer in that way.
No, you
I could
definitely aren't.
never, when I was like 22, I got an offer to front a wedding project that was like $120,000 a year salary. And at that point, I was working for Apple Computers, and I was doing a lot of like just technical kind of work, like a totally different lifetime ago. And I
Yeah.
was, in computer land, like in working in offices and like traveling and doing this other kind of work. And I was like, man, I could make this amount of money doing music tomorrow. Like that's pretty
Hmm.
cool. And then I don't have to sign a deal. I had some experiences that were not great. The underbelly of the music industry, not cute.
Mm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I want to do this, but on my own terms. I can't, I'm a singer that if I don't feel it, I'm not gonna sing it. Like I can't separate the importance of that with like, the performance of it. For me, it's all one thing. If I can't be like do the little dance, and like I got an offer to be a backup singer once, which was incredible for Mary J. Blige, of all people, one of my
Mm.
heroes. And she was like, I want to bring you on the road. And I remember being like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then being like, I will never, I cannot, I can't do that. I can't bring myself to just turn music and take the like
Mm.
power out of it. Take the
Hmm.
spirit out of it and just make it entertainment, I think is like this huge disservice to
Mm.
humanity. I think we need our soundtrack of our time. We need the music to speak to what's really happening, and it's been kind of like watered down and monetized so much.
Yeah.
That's a great disservice, I think, to humanity. I really think it's that important.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
from the outside, I think people are like, well, why didn't you all take different record deals or make choices that weren't like the big visibility thing for everything?
Right?
But like we stayed true to what we felt was, the muse and like what our message was. And I don't have any regrets about that. I mean, and
No.
Hmm.
we talk about this a lot. We three of our folks had passed in 5 years. Like we had to be there for them. Music is a beautiful thing for people to share, but there's a lot of things in life that are important, and
Very
I
important.
don't have any regrets about that. Like about
Sure.
not like holding on to like 'cause the machine wants you to do this much work and you have to
Yeah.
fulfill this and everything. We did it on our own and worked very hard and have a life. I'm grateful for that, but it's yeah, we did it on our own terms. But then people are like, man, you guys aren't. Shouldn't you be on a label or shouldn't you be doing this or that? And
It's all
career
not
is
what it
career is ups
seems.
and downs. I mean,
It's
Yeah.
not all what
you
it
did the
seems.
voice, and then we've done like then you're playing a 250 venue. It doesn't. You're always trying your best to put out everything you can. It doesn't really matter what the filter is of it in that way. And so,
Right.
yeah, I'm glad we stuck to our guns with everything. And
It allows for flexibility as an artist that's very important. It's not necessarily, I mean, fame is a cool thing if for some people especially they love that idea. Some of us don't love that idea actually and like are quite private and quite quiet people like myself. The idea of everywhere you go everyone knows who you are is like absolute hell to me. Like on par with, decent prison cell. Like it's like literally that sounds crazy, but I'm being 100% honest. Like
Hmm.
sitting in a room with a book and a nice window and going for a walk a few times a day sounds on par with like, Whitney Houston level fame or something where
Hmm.
she couldn't go anywhere. And this, I bring her up because that's how I was envisioning my life when I was a kid. And I'm like, man, I would love to sing songs and be traveling the world and people hear my voice. But then I saw her life and I was like, I don't want that at all. Like she's just leaving the hair salon and so many people with the camera flashes that she falls over and they're all just taking photos of it instead of helping her. And like this kind of stuff is so gross to
Yeah.
me, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I, I
crazy.
I think sticking to our guns has been harder creatively because we have so many different influences. And I think if we were on a label, they would say, we'd like you to put out this
Yeah.
record with all the same style and do this and but we have like, I mean, we grew up together, we met each other, we had, blues and R&B roots for groups, but then we also love rock music, and you love Fiona Apple a bunch, and like what, and I grew up like my grandfather had a big band and played the Cotton Clubs. I grew up with like Strad style
Hmm.
piano, Basie's from the town next to me, and that, so all that kind of stuff is seeps into our music, and it makes us maybe less of a product that's easily identifiable. But we stayed
Product
honest to what our
schmuck.
thing is. I mean, that's, I don't have. I'm happy we can still do it, and we love it as much as we do. So it's good.
Yeah, well,
We're
I
very
mean,
lucky.
that's a jump to my mind is this album is really eclectic as you move through it from song to song, and it's
Mm,
like like, oh yeah, a major label wouldn't have allowed that.
mm,
Because
Not
again,
at
they try
all.
and here's your lane, and we're gonna shove you all into this lane.
mm,
Um,
Yes, exactly.
mm.
and there's there's songs that, again have, this they're laid back, but they're intense at the same time, like the song "Beautiful."
Mm.
Mm.
It's very kinda you're just luxuriating almost in all the spaces and the openness of it,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of feeling to it, and, like, one thing I was curious about because in that song in particular, the guitar is like a whole other vocal. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, what's the key to writing a guitar part that comes across that way?
Okay. So we do an awful lot of work to prepare for that week that we get, every year with our guys down in New York, and we're going through, probably close to 100 songs and trying to narrow those down to 75 and then to 50 and then down to 30. And our producer wants very, very rudimentary demos. He doesn't want to hear things fleshed out. He wants it really just the initial thing to see if there's a spark there. And
Hmm.
and we'll bring in 25 or 30 with him and just play stuff off of an iPhone, like really, really dumbed down stuff. And then he'll say, yeah, try that one or whatever. So that being said, so there's all this preparation done, and narrowing stuff down, get it down to about 30 or 35 songs, whatever it was. And there's this one little clip from a rehearsal somewhere where the da 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 da, the riff is in there, and Ezra and Nicole and I are in our basement between either a rehearsal for a show or
It
I
was
think it
rehearsal.
was a rehearsal, yeah. And there's just this thing that we just broke into, and like, so I'm presenting all this stuff, organizing it for Joel, and and each time I go to another round, I make a new file on my phone because I'm it's my weird process. And so,
It's
but I
not
can't seem
weird.
to let go of this one thing, and what you were saying, the songy guitar thing. and
Mhm.
just the way that we fell into that kind of a groove. And so when we brought it to Joel, he was like, "Yeah, let's do this one." And there was no lyrics or anything.
You're like, does this
And
fit the record? It's so weird. It's just like a jam we were doing.
yeah,
If I played you the original recording, we should release that like as part
yeah,
of the single.
you'd feel it. You'd hear that because he
It's
said the
just
singing
there.
songwriter. He hears the singing guitar. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the.
Like you were playing that little riff, and then Ezra sits down and just starts playing it, and then I plug in and I just started being like do 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 do, like just kind of
Yeah.
joining in, and
Yeah,
it's all there already in that
Oh, wow.
moment. It was just right there.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then she
It's
says, like, sounds like you're saying, "Isn't it beautiful?" And then in the
Well,
mornings,
that's a tiny, and that's not how that one came with the "Isn't it beautiful?"
that's not how that.
No, but that is usually what
Because
happens.
I wrote the lyrics in the mornings on the rewrite at the coffee
Yeah,
shop
but
down.
before you did that, "Isn't It Beautiful" is something, it was specifically referencing a dream when my mother's mother passed away.
Mm.
And I had an experience of being visited by her in my dream
Right,
in the
right.
middle of the night. Literally turned out that was when she died. And I knew it when I woke up. I was like, I think my grandmother just died. Like, I think she
Wow.
just visited me. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. But I had this dream, and in part of the dream, I was a little girl in Trinidad, which is where she's from. And I was looking at my outfit, and I was dressed like a Catholic schoolgirl. I was wearing wool and these hard, like leather shoes with laces and socks, and I was like, why am I wearing
Mm.
so much clothes, like long sleeve shirt and all this wool like vest? And I was like, I'm so hot. And so I walked by the beach, and in my mind I was like, I'm gonna get in trouble for getting sand in my shoes, but I don't care. So I went right by the water, and then the water was splashing up, and I was like, it was making rainbows, and there were like little hills in the background, and I was like, this is so beautiful. And then I heard my grandmother's voice, and I saw her reflection in the water droplets. Like her face
Oh.
was like made of rainbows, and she was like, isn't it beautiful? And she just kept saying, isn't it beautiful? And next thing I know, I'm like flying on the beach with my grandmother, and my heart was just like exploding with this joyous like feeling that I can't even explain. And I woke up, and that was when I was like, I think my grandmother died. And in the back of my mind, I was like, isn't it beautiful would be a great song. And I kept that in the back of my mind, like that story. And so that's where that lyric came from. And initially I was like, maybe this song is just a instrumental song. Like
Because of
we
the
don't
singing
need,
songwriter.
yeah,
Da, 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 da,
because the
da.
guitar is so melodic. It
Mhm.
almost doesn't need lyrics. And then I was like, what if we just kept that? The guitar is the lead voice. And then in the chorus, it just goes, isn't it beautiful? And that's it. And then Dwight was like, I think I hear lyrics on it. And he went to the coffee shop and came back and
Yeah.
wrote the most devastatingly beautiful lyrics that can't believe, like how the lyrics are so beautiful.
Well, I appreciate it. It's that week that we shared together. I just felt
Mhm.
like I was like, man, I'm just going to give my best shot in the morning. You know, the
Was it
coffee
last day?
hits.
Yeah.
No, it was. I
Second
think
to
it
last
was
day.
4. It was day
It
4
was.
of 7 because remember we had to do vocal overdubs the last 2 days.
Ah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so it had to be
Last day
4.
tracking day.
Last, yes, maybe it was last
Right,
tracking
I
day.
think
Day
so.
4, I think,
Oh, it's
or
gorgeous.
5. But yes,
I'm
that
so
was
glad you
so cool.
noticed that guitar
Yeah,
thing.
thank
That's
you for
like
all these interesting questions.
such a
Like
good
Nicole, the thing
question.
about Nicole's quiet
Yeah.
voice and loud voice. It's like no one's ever asked anything like that.
No,
It's
my
interesting.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Although now I'm thinking my dreams suck. They are
Uh,
nothing like that.
Hey, I'm with you. I don't have any good ones either. Don't worry about it. She has all the dreams. She has
Yeah.
dreams for 10 people.
I have
Right,
the
right.
craziest dream
Yeah.
life. I really do.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't have any.
And and then going back to the
Special.
whole idea of, you can't just sing something just to sing something. You have to
Yeah.
feel it.
Mhm.
With that in mind, the one of the first singles released, I've never heard anyone cover Yaz before,
Mm,
for one
Yes.
thing. And
mm.
I know your manager brought you guys this song, but again, you're the ones that have to decide, yeah, this is good or this
100%.
is for us or not. So what was it that said, okay, I can identify with this and this, in what way did you connect with Only You?
Mm.
Well, I'll tell you, it's exactly
Yeah,
what we were
that's
just
pretty
talking
cool, too.
about. In fact, that song, I remember it from my childhood. I remember hearing it and thinking, this is such a cute little song. Like it was like the melody is cute and I loved it as a little girl. And then I heard it again in my 20s or so. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I remember the song. But now I'm listening to the lyrics and I'm like, wow, that's the saddest song I've ever heard, kind of thing. And now I love that space. I find that so juicy
Mm,
where, is this sad or is this a happy song? Like, it's kind of like, when we were practicing it in the studio, I was like, I don't want it to be too slow because I don't want it to automatically sound like a sad song. It
Mm.
just sounds like contemplative and thoughtful when it opens up, looking from a window above. Do 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 do
you're
do.
saying it
Like
was
so,
super hard to sing
it's
from
so
that place.
well,
You said it
not
was the hardest song you'd
hard.
ever, your choices to make as a
Yeah,
singer.
I said that it was definitely the most challenging on the record for me to sing because my tendency to want to embellish it was high because there's not a lot going on. It's like
Mhm.
very, very simple. And the melody is so beautiful, but honoring the simplicity of that, using restraint and allowing for just the feeling to come through. I was trying to be very careful with not sounding too sad, not sounding
Mhm.
too mournful. Um, just like it is what it is, and let the healing come through the melody. Let that bridge be crossed through this like beautiful, gentle
Mhm.
music, and it's like putting sugar in your medicine.
Mhm.
Yeah. From my side of it, I remember us like we'll kick around cover tunes just to see if they have legs. And when they have legs for us, we hear different things that keep that change the song a little bit, but also keep the original feeling. And we both had separate bands. I grew up just singing lead, and like Nicole, working with Nicole, and she hears so many different harmonies, has really taught me to be a better harmony singer, to think more of that in that way, to try to get
Mhm.
that stronger. So I immediately heard my harmony for that part, and I immediately heard a tag for the end. We do a weird tag thing that's not on their song. We change chords a
Mhm.
little bit,
That came
and
so
like those
naturally.
things cut when they come. Then it's like, well, you're something's there because you're not just playing the exact thing that the song is.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's explore that a little bit, and I'm so glad that Dennis brought that and that it turned into that. We weren't expecting that.
Yeah,
And
totally.
again, another point of how eclectic the album is, because it's like, again, the major label release wouldn't have songs like Beautiful and Only You on the same release. They just have a very different feel.
Yeah.
Totally,
Um,
totally.
um, and then another interesting point, the song Wasting All My Time,
Hmm.
there's a point where Dwight, you sing this kind of percussive da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da,
Yeah.
and it's like you're seeing it, you can imagine like you're trying to explain to band members how you want it to go, whether it's a guitar part or a percussive part or something like that, but instead you're doing it as a vocal. And I'm curious, how did that come about and why did you, because it's really interesting. Why did you keep it as a vocal rather than making it into like a rhythm guitar part?
This is a great question. So before we moved into our house, we lived in a train yard, and
Basically.
in an artist community with a fantastic visual artist downstairs named Eric Eichmann, a Western swing singer and band leader named Rick Norcross, who is
Okay.
famed for his green pickle, which was an old flexible bus that he ended up selling to Marty Stewart in Nashville. It's in the Nashville Hall of Fame now. And the
Hernandez.
Ron Hernandez, who was an airbrusher. We're talking ages 30 to 80 here. Everybody just living together in our
Even
own.
younger than 30
That's true.
when I got there.
Yeah. And so my next door neighbor to the right, who I haven't mentioned yet, her name is Hiroka Nakahari, and she's a fantastic clothing designer and a personality,
Jewelry designer.
and jewelry designer. She makes earrings.
She makes furniture.
And so she's like a very wild, I don't know how you describe her. She's kind of like the Japanese Keith Richards. She's just in her
Oh,
own little world. She's got her
okay.
own little thing, and she's just like if you could follow her around with a personality, with a camera. Her personality would just, she could talk about anything, and just the way that she looks at it.
Fascinating.
I mean, really weird things. Like, I don't even know. She was like making, serving trays out of like raw meat that she would laminate with,
Bologna and
just
Oh
like,
my
and
god.
she was a roller derby star. Her
Wow.
name is Vajikel Jackson. Uh, and
it looked like a charcuterie tray,
just,
but it was
Wow.
laminated and clear
yeah,
with like pickled vegetables and like bologna and stuff.
you'd have a moment with her, and like, let me give me another example. I had like a fear of flying for a while, and she said, the plane ride to Japan, I think, is 14 hours or whatever. And she said, I've got it. I've got your problem solved for your next flight. She goes, I probably shouldn't share this.
And the person with the
Yeah,
most body fat,
yeah,
and sit next to them.
sit next to them, because
then
you can time it
time it when the plane
crashes, and
crashes.
you can bounce. That's the way that she sees, right? It's just like everything is this though all the time. So if she's not super friendly at first, and she has her own little way of clearing out energy, like whether it's like, I have this stuff to do today, or I don't know this person, and she just goes, "Do, do, 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 do," and she just does that. And that means that either she's not interested in talking anymore,
Or she doesn't have the English words, so she's like,
yeah, it's like this like utility thing that she uses all the time.
It's a good
Right.
tool.
And so immediately I was like, this is fantastic. I don't know why she's doing this. I don't know why she's doing any of the stuff that she does in the
Right.
first place. She's so magnificent. But I was like, I don't even know. That just stuck in my head. So when I was like, I'm wasting all my time. That's what that phrase means. She's like, this is, yeah, this is a waste of
Yeah.
all my time with you people, or whatever
Oh
whatever she's
wow.
going on. So she was my inspiration for that. I can thank
Okay.
her. I
Wow.
hope you get to meet her. So, my God, she's a pistol. She is a pistol. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you actually met someone that speaks in this kind of percussive
And
nature.
I don't think it's like it has anything to do with, it's not like a Japanese phrase or anything like that. She's
Right,
just
right.
like, this is her thing. She has her own weird thing. Like Lester Young was like, man, he invented, like, they didn't pay me enough bread at the gig. And she has her own slang, her own like little world of
Yeah.
Hiroka. She's like that.
Yeah.
She's an inventor. So yeah. Thank you, Hiroka.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Another track that really stood out to me is Silver Bullet. And from what I read, um, it's or Silver Rocket, excuse me, is it was originally recorded, but you said the mastering kind of crushed all the life out of it. But listening to this track, it's hard to imagine anything could crush the life out of it because it really just punches. So what I'm wondering is, when it was remastered, what were you hearing again that wasn't there with the original mastering?
That's such a good question.
Crushing this.
Oh my God. So that song, the way that I imagined it while I was writing it was like this coy, almost whisper voice. I'm like, meet me at the doorway. Like,
Mhm.
we're sneaking off together to do some epic shit. And like, that's the idea of the song. So, but then when the chorus would come in, it's like the guys are raging. And I'm like, all right, it's Metallica all of a sudden.
We were going for Thin Lizzy, I think.
I can't whisper say
Yeah.
anymore. And so it just was exploding during the choruses. And then when we sat back to listen to it in the studio, everyone except me thought it was like too big of a juxtaposition between the quiet part and the hard hitting part. And I was like, we only have 7 days. And at that point, I think we had less than that.
We loved it.
And so Joel was like, hit it harder, like all the way throughout. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like that's not how it's supposed to be. But the guys loved it so much.
We
loved it so much. And
rips.
so I was like, we're not there. And they're like, you're crazy. We're we're gonna move on. You killed it.
Yeah,
It's
we love the big
perfection.
vocal
We're gonna
part.
just move on. We'll come back to it at the end. We'll come
Mhm.
back to it. You're thinking too much. And I was like, I hate these guys. Don't you dare tell me I'm crazy. I
Yeah.
know exactly what I want. It's not it.
Yeah.
Like, fine, we'll come back to, we move on, we breathe, we move on to the
Mhm.
next song. We're gonna come back to it. We didn't have time to come back to it. So when we're
Mm.
listening back and they're like, you're gonna love it. And I was like, I don't love it. And then we brought it to the master and it was compressed and I loved it even less. I was like, this isn't
Mm.
it. We gotta read. So I wouldn't let it. It was supposed to be on Jaguar, Raven, and the Snake. And I was like, nope, we're gonna fix it. And then we'll come back to it. And then Dennis, with his magical ears, was like,
He's
this just needs to be remastered. It's all there. And I was like, it's not there. The performance is weird. I'm trying to sing
whispery. You
a
weren't
certain way, and I could tell that I am, so I hate it. It's like, and everyone's like, you're cute. And I'm like, it's not cute. You know, and you have like your school picture as a kid, and you're like, I hate it. And your parents are
Yeah,
like,
right.
honey, it's so cute. That's how I felt about that vocal take. I was like, ah, it can be better. Then the next thing I know, it gets remastered and I loved it. Dennis was totally right. I was like, okay, I still would like to do that version. We'll do a live version where I
Yeah.
sing it exactly the way I'm picturing in my head and we could take the time to get that really right. In this case, it's a rager and it's great. And we need a rager on this record. There's not a lot of raging happening, so it
Mhm.
provides that.
There is an element of Joel working, like I was telling you, he likes the crappy demos.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and we were talking about like the selflessness of us all kind of like giving into the project of that week. I'm not coming in with like producer ears. He's a producer. I'm trying to sing and play the guitar, the drums, whatever he wants me to do, however he wants me to do it.
You always have some producer ears
I have input, but it's like
here and
so.
there.
But Joel's like, man, would you have wanted? And we don't like a lot of takes anyway. But he's like, would you want like these arms of mine? Would you want like Otis Redding's a little flat, on the bridge? Would you have wanted that to change, or like the Joe Cocker, you are so beautiful
Yeah.
to me, or whatever? So we operate on a couple takes if the feeling's there, and then everyone shuts. Like there was what's the other song on the record? Love is gonna travel straight back to you. That one
Yeah.
I wanted to do like another run, and you can hear everybody because we have like a little like GoPro or a vlogging camera in the studio, and
Mhm.
everyone's like, "No, you're done," and I'm like, "No, but one more," and then like the whole like it's like Statler and Waldorf for the Muppet Show. Like everybody
Yeah,
just
right.
cuts you off.
We let you do one more, but if you were looking in, you noticed that we just mute you and are just chatting about.
Yeah, no one cares anymore. So
We
that
moved
was
on.
she hit the silver rocket like that. And we were like, "You're done." Yeah, she got
I was
the.
like, I'll tell you when I'm done. Oh,
Yeah,
they were right.
yeah, that was a good one. Man, you hit
No,
that.
well, I mean, that's theoretically what the producer's there for. So, you
Thank
Yeah.
God.
sometimes you got to let go and trust that person.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Joel's a great one for that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Super trust.